After the age of 70, every passing year becomes even more precious. If things you used to do easily now feel a bit more difficult. If your sleep has become lighter, you find yourself out of breath while walking, or you struggle to feel energized in the morning. These may not only be signs of aging, but also your body trying to tell you something. Because scientists have discovered that elderly people who live long lives share certain traits. And these traits are not just about genetics or luck. Some small behaviors in your daily life can actually determine how long and how well you live. In this video, we will discuss 8 subtle yet powerful signs that may give you insight into your longevity after the age of 70. How many of these signs do you recognize in yourself? Which ones can you still change? The final sign is one that might affect you deeply, so be sure to listen carefully. Because without realizing it, you may be shortening your life. If you're ready, let's begin. 1. Appetite and eating habits. Maria is a 74-year-old retired teacher. She lives in a small town in Germany. She is a woman who has spent years teaching her students not only lessons but also life. In her youth, she used to cook meals with vegetables from her garden and enjoyed serving them to her guests. Her kitchen wasn't just a place for cooking, it was a place for sharing love. Behind every meal there was a story, a memory, a smile. But in the past year, a noticeable change began in Maria. At first, no one noticed. When her grandchildren visited, something seemed missing from the table. But they said, "She's getting old, that's all," and moved on. But Maria had started skipping breakfast, getting by with only yogurt at lunch, and sometimes eating just a slice of bread at dinner. She no longer craved her favorite dishes. Even her beloved pumpkin soup now tasted bland to her. When her son Thomas noticed her weight loss, he became concerned. The veins in her hands were more prominent, and the color had faded from her face. Maria was still smiling, but it was a tired smile. She would feel exhausted from a light breeze and needed to pause while climbing the stairs. Small changes were making a big difference. The doctor's examination revealed a worrying picture. Maria had lost 5 kilos in 6 months. Her muscle mass was decreasing, and her metabolism had slowed down. Her vitamin levels were low, and her immune system had weakened. The doctor's first question was direct. "How is your appetite?" Maria lowered her head and whispered, "I think I've forgotten how to eat." Loss of appetite is a much more important indicator in elderly individuals than people realize. It could be the body's way of sounding the alarm. Slower digestion, hormonal changes, and reduced taste and smell. All of these can suppress appetite. Additionally, loneliness, depression, or medication side effects may also contribute. When the body doesn't get enough nutrition, it begins to lose muscle. Muscle loss reduces mobility. Balance problems increase, and the risk of falling becomes higher. Independence begins to deteriorate. At the same time, the immune system weakens, and even a simple flu can have serious consequences. The good news is, this situation can be turned around. The doctor gave Maria some small but effective recommendations. 3 main meals and 2 small snacks per day. A source of protein at every meal. Yogurt, eggs, legumes. Use spices to enhance flavor. Simple, appetizing, small plates that are easy to prepare. And most importantly, setting regular meal times. Thomas started going grocery shopping with his mother. They picked vegetables together and tried new recipes. Maria began baking little cookies for her grandchildren again. The color returned to her face. Though not as fast as before, she began to rediscover the joy of being in the kitchen. Appetite is not just a physical need. It is also a sign of one's connection to life. Cooking something, sitting at a table, sharing a meal. These habits also nourish the soul. If you've stopped enjoying the taste of food lately, if your appetite has decreased, your portions have gotten smaller. Please don't ignore this signal. Your body might be trying to talk to you. If this story resonates with you, please write it in the comments. Maybe another viewer is experiencing the same silence and your words could give them strength. 2. Grip strength, a reflection of how you hold on to life. Hans is 78 years old. In his youth, he worked as a carpenter. The chairs, dining sets, and wall shelves he crafted with his hands still remain in his family's homes. Everything he once shaped with his hands was a symbol of his strength, productivity, and upright stance toward life. But in recent years, Hans has started to struggle with opening jar lids. He has to ask his grandson for help to open a package. And most recently, when he reached out to greet his grandson Elias, the boy softly said, "Grandpa, your hand doesn't grip like it used to." That's when Hans realized something was wrong. As we age, we may begin to lose hand strength, but this isn't just about muscles. Grip strength is actually a reflection of your overall health. Studies show that older adults with weak grip strength experience higher mortality rates, more frequent hospitalizations, and shorter periods of independent living. In other words, a handshake is not just a greeting, it's also a sign of how connected you are to life. Hans's situation is just one example. His doctor discovered significant weakness in his hand muscles during tests. This indicated not only weakness in the hands, but also a general loss of muscle mass throughout the body. Muscle loss is not just a physical concern, it also poses a serious metabolic threat. Muscles generate energy, provide balance, and enable freedom of movement. When the body loses muscle, it doesn't just grow weaker. The immune system also weakens, bone structure becomes more vulnerable, and the risk of falling and injury increases dramatically. Your grip strength also reflects the condition of your nervous system. Communication between the brain and muscles can slow down over time. Struggling to grasp objects may be an early sign not only of physical decline, but also of a neurological issue. Hans took this seriously. Following his doctor's advice, he began hand exercises. Every morning after his coffee, he started squeezing a tennis ball for 10 minutes. Then he did simple finger and wrist exercises using resistance bands. After a few weeks, he was able to carry his shopping bags again. And most importantly, he shared that strong handshake again with his grandson Elias. "You're like the old Grandpa Hans again," Elias said, smiling. These small improvements helped Hans not only physically, but also psychologically. He began to regain his confidence. He realized that he could use his hands not just to carry things, but to connect with life, to hold his loved ones, and to create again. Have you been feeling weaker when shaking hands lately? Is it harder to open a jar, carry a bag, or hold something tightly? Remember, a strong grip is a sign of a strong life. And here's the good news. Grip strength can be regained. You can start with hand exercises, simple wrist movements, and light weights. With just a few minutes of effort, you can maintain your independence for years to come. If this point resonates with you, please share in the comments. Maybe another viewer is feeling the same way, and your experience could inspire them. 3. Sleep quality and nighttime awakenings. Margaret is a 76-year-old widow. After her husband passed away, she began living alone. Throughout her life, she had been a very disciplined person. She would wake up early, enjoy her coffee with the newspaper, and spend the rest of her day on short walks, gardening, and reading books. But over the past year, something had changed, something she couldn't quite explain. Her sleep was no longer the same. At first, she would only wake up around dawn. Her eyes would open at about 3 in the morning, and she'd struggle to fall back asleep. She blamed it on aging. "We're getting older, it's natural," she told herself. But the awakenings became more frequent. 2, sometimes 3 times a night she would get up. Although she often used the bathroom as an excuse, the truth was she simply couldn't sleep. And in the morning she felt as if she hadn't slept at all. During the day, she struggled to stay alert. Her concentration began to fade. While speaking to her grandchildren, she would zone out, and she became noticeably more forgetful. Most importantly, her energy seemed completely drained. Yet her health checkups didn't reveal any major issues. Her blood pressure was normal, her lab results were decent, but she still didn't feel well. After a long conversation, Margaret's doctor pointed to the likely cause: chronic sleep disorder. As we age, falling asleep may become more difficult. But what's even more significant is the disruption of sleep throughout the night. These sleep interruptions prevent the body from properly healing itself. Heart rhythms, brain waves, and the immune system all rely on deep sleep to rest and regenerate. When sleep quality deteriorates, these systems cannot function properly. Scientific research shows that in individuals over 70, quality sleep has a direct impact on life expectancy. Irregular sleep causes not only physical fatigue, but also mental fog, memory loss, depression, and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Sleep isn't just rest. It's a time for the body to renew itself. Margaret decided to make small but effective changes to restore her sleep pattern. First, she began going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. She started eating dinner a bit earlier and avoided caffeinated drinks before bedtime. After learning that the blue light from phones and TV screens disturbed her sleep, she shut off all screens an hour before bed. Instead, she chose to read a book while listening to soft classical music. In the morning, she opened her curtains to get natural sunlight, which helped regulate her internal clock. Her daily walks also helped her sleep more deeply at night. Over time, her nighttime awakenings decreased. Thanks to deeper, uninterrupted sleep, her energy returned. She could once again handle her daily tasks with ease. Her memory improved, her mood lifted, and most importantly, she started waking up with a renewed zest for life. If you also wake up frequently at night, feel tired in the morning, or feel unrested even after sleeping, don't take it lightly. This isn't just an age-related change. It may be an important signal your body is sending. Valuing your sleep is one of the most important steps you can take for a long and healthy life. Give yourself this gift every night, because a good night's sleep is the beginning of everything. 4. Walking speed. How well can you keep up with life's rhythm? As we age, life's pace begins to shift. But some things reveal more about our bodies than we might expect. Walking speed is one of them. When your daily walking pace starts to slow, it might not just be your legs. Your overall health could be slowing down too. Most people don't even notice this change. At first, you begin to tire during short walks. Climbing stairs becomes difficult. Crossing the street within the time of the traffic light feels rushed. You may develop a fear of losing balance while walking, leading you to take more cautious, slower steps. This slowdown becomes a habit, quietly and gradually. But there may be deeper reasons behind it. Walking speed is a powerful indicator of muscle strength, bone structure, heart health, and even brain function. Studies show that older adults who walk faster and more steadily tend to live longer, healthier lives. That's because walking engages more than just your legs. Your entire body works together in harmony. Heart rhythm, breathing, nervous system, and muscle structure all perform in sync. If you've noticed your steps slowing down, it might be a signal. If you find yourself needing to stop and rest frequently while walking, if stairs you once climbed with ease now wear you out, or if you feel the need to hold on to walls or rails more often, these are changes worth paying attention to. They may not just be age-related. They could be early warnings of weakening muscle and balance systems, but here's the good news. This condition is not irreversible. You can regain your walking speed, build muscle strength, and improve balance skills. Simple leg exercises, light walks, and consistent movement can reawaken your body's functions. And you don't need to go to a gym to do it. Step exercises at home, short daily walks, and repeating small movements each day can make a big difference. Moreover, walking offers mental benefits too. Being outdoors clears the mind. Sunlight helps regulate hormones. And engaging with the outside world improves social connection. As your steps grow stronger, you start to feel more capable, more in control, and more independent. Never forget, a body that cannot walk struggles to participate in life. But even a few steps a day can secure your future independence. What matters is not speed, but consistency. Start with a short walk today, then go a bit further tomorrow, because movement is life. The more you move, the more fully you live. Are your walks becoming easier or harder lately? Don't hesitate to ask yourself this question. Let your answer motivate you to act. And remember, if you're the first to notice the problem, you can be the first to begin the solution. If this message resonates with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Perhaps someone else reading this will find the courage to take their first step. 5. Social connections and loneliness. In later life, one of the most overlooked but most deeply impactful factors affecting quality of life is social connection. As the body ages, people often focus more on their physical health, heart, muscle strength, sleep patterns, nutrition. But alongside all these, what truly keeps the spirit alive is human connection. And when those connections begin to fade, they can quietly turn into a consuming sense of loneliness. This loneliness doesn't arrive suddenly. It begins silently. Maybe someone you used to talk to regularly starts calling less. Conversations grow shorter. Visits become rarer. As days pass, you begin to speak less, share less, without even realizing it. Things that once brought joy begin to feel ordinary, even meaningless. Gradually, you don't just grow distant from others. You begin to feel distant from yourself. A breakfast table set for one, dinner eaten alone, a TV show with no one to talk to about it. Each is a sign. We see ourselves through others. In conversation, in laughter, in sharing, we feel as if we're looking into a mirror. But when that mirror breaks, a sense of disconnection becomes inevitable. Research shows that older adults with strong social ties not only live longer, but live healthier, because social interaction affects not just the mind, but the entire body. The brain stays more active, the immune system strengthens, stress levels decrease. In contrast, loneliness has been linked to heart disease, depression, cognitive decline, and even early death. The World Health Organization has called loneliness in older adults a silent epidemic. Some people say they choose to be alone, but more often than not, it's not a choice, it's a circumstance. Someone who has lost loved ones, whose circle has shrunk, whose mobility has declined, finds it harder each day to stay connected with the outside world. Eventually, loneliness stops being a choice and becomes a consequence. But it doesn't have to be this way. It's never too late to reconnect. The important thing is to take that first step. That doesn't mean surrounding yourself with crowds. Sometimes one phone call a week, one small social gathering a month, or joining a book club can make a world of difference. A short chat with a neighbor, a wave to a familiar face during a walk. Every point of contact can begin to weave back the threads of a fading connection. Ask yourself, who have you truly spoken to lately? Not just a polite greeting, but a real conversation, a heartfelt moment with someone who truly understands you? If these questions are hard to answer, maybe it's time to open a new window in your life. In the autumn of life, what warms the heart isn't wealth or great accomplishments. It's a meaningful chat, eye contact, a shared smile. These are the small miracles that keep aging souls young. If these words feel familiar, know that you are not alone. And please leave a comment saying, "I'm here." Maybe your message will reach someone's heart and ease their loneliness even just a little. 6. Coping with stress, a vital skill for a healthy life. As we age, the nature of stress changes, but it never disappears. In younger years, stress might come from work, raising children, or worries about the future. But in later life, stress becomes quieter, more internal. Feelings of emptiness after retirement, health concerns, the loss of friends, or the stillness at home. All of these can build up over time, quietly creating wounds that go unseen. That's why the ability to cope with stress becomes one of the foundations of a healthy life in old age. Often this stress isn't visible to others. You smile, you chat, but inside there may be a different kind of battle. Insomnia, loss of appetite, mental fog, dwelling on the past, fear of the unknown. None of these are loud, but they quietly erode quality of life. The effects of stress on the body are clearly documented. Elderly individuals under chronic stress are more likely to suffer from heart disease, high blood pressure, weakened immunity, digestive issues, and even memory problems. The human body simply isn't designed to endure long-term tension. And in an aging body, the physical consequences of stress appear faster and more severely. But here's the good news: you can manage stress. The first and most important step is to acknowledge its presence. Many people think, am I still feeling stress at this age? But the truth is, life brings challenges at every stage. What matters is how we approach them. Being kind to yourself, saying, I can get through this, is the first step toward mental clarity. For some, this journey requires introspection. Deep breathing exercises, light meditation, or short morning walks in the sunlight can help quiet the mind. For others, writing in a journal is the most powerful outlet, bringing buried emotions to the surface. The connection between pen and paper can sometimes be more healing than a therapy session. Another powerful way to cope with stress is through social connections. A meaningful conversation with someone you trust, or sharing a cup of coffee with a friend, can bring surprising relief to the inner world, because stress diminishes when shared. Once thoughts swirling inside your head are spoken aloud, they no longer feel quite so heavy. Of course, some people struggle to express their emotions. They bottle things up and go silent, saying, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. But stress thrives in silence. That's why it's important to open a window into your inner world. Sometimes that window is music. Sometimes it's a walk in nature. And sometimes it's just closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. Managing stress isn't just a health issue. It's a way of living. How you react to challenges, how you guide your thoughts, shows how firmly you stand in this world. If you've been feeling tense, uneasy, or emotionally drained lately, know that you are not alone. It's not a weakness. It's part of being human. What matters is what you do with those feelings. Do you embrace them or do you ignore them? If this message resonates with you, leave a small sign in the comments. You might bring hope to someone else who feels just like you. Remember, the weight of stress lightens when shared, and life becomes much more livable when that burden is lifted. 7. Standing on one leg. Your balance tells a deeper story. Balance is a skill that follows us from the earliest moments of life, yet it fades silently over time. As children, we learn it by falling and getting up. In youth, we barely notice it. In middle age, we check in with it from time to time. But in older age, that's when balance becomes more than just a physical issue. It becomes a symbol of independence. Many people notice they're more cautious with their steps as they grow older. Steps get smaller, stairs start to feel intimidating, and sudden turns become uncomfortable. Some begin holding onto walls or furniture, even inside their own homes. These behaviors are often dismissed as normal signs of aging. But in reality, the body is sending warning signals. Loss of balance is a silent alarm, slowly getting louder. Being able to stand on one leg is one of the simplest yet most powerful tests of that alarm's intensity. If while standing you lift one foot and quickly lose balance, it could mean your muscle strength, reflexes, and nervous system are slowing down. Studies show that individuals who can't stand on one leg for at least 10 seconds are at higher risk of falls and often have lower overall health. Loss of balance doesn't just mean a risk of falling. It's also a sign that the brain's motor control centers, leg muscles, and body coordination are all quietly weakening. And if this weakening goes unnoticed, the first fall brings not just pain, but fear. That fear leads to less movement. Less movement leads to even poorer balance. It becomes a vicious cycle. But here's the good news. Balance can be improved. Yes, at any age. Even a few minutes of daily practice can make a huge difference. You can start with simple exercises. For example, while brushing your teeth in the morning, try lifting one foot off the ground for a few seconds. Or hold onto the back of a chair and gently work on balance drills. The body takes these cues seriously, like retuning an old musical instrument. Some people benefit from light Tai Chi or yoga, which focus on strengthening both the body and the mind. Because balance is not just physical, it's mental resilience too. When you stand, your body must be stable, but so must your mind. Believing you won't fall is already half the battle. So how balanced do you feel lately? Not just physically, but in life? Because sometimes inner imbalance affects the outer stance. Anxiety, fear, and the weight of the past, they all weigh down the body. And that weight can make it harder to stay upright. That's why when working on balance, we must support not just the muscles, but the soul as well. If balancing alone feels too challenging, try doing it with someone. It could be a friend, a grandchild, or a physiotherapist. The key is not to delay. Each passing day, the muscles loosen a little more. Reflexes slow, but one small exercise today creates safer steps tomorrow. Try this today. In a quiet room on a stable surface, stand with your hands free and lift one foot. How long can you hold it? Whatever your answer, treat it as a starting point. Because no matter your age, the pride of standing tall is still in your hands. If this message inspired you and you've been working on your balance, share your journey in the comments. Your courage might be exactly what someone else needs to take their first step. 8. Daily energy levels and willingness to move. The pulse of life. As we age, many things change, but few affect the rhythm of life as much as our daily energy levels. Where once we would wake up feeling refreshed and ready to go, there may come a time when even getting out of bed feels like a challenge. Fatigue throughout the day, lack of motivation, and a growing sense of stillness. These are quiet truths many older adults live with but seldom talk about. Yet this isn't something we should simply accept with a shrug and say, "Well, I'm getting old." A drop in energy is more than just a sign of aging. It's a signal from the body that something deeper may be happening. Waking up tired, feeling the need to sit constantly, avoiding once beloved activities, or feeling overwhelmed at the thought of a short walk. Each of these is a message from within. Energy levels reflect not only physical strength, but also mood and one's overall outlook on life. When we feel strong, we make plans with hope. But when we constantly feel tired, life starts to shrink, reduced to a routine that revolves around just four walls. What's essential to understand here is this. Low energy isn't just about age. It can be caused by a range of underlying issues. Poor nutrition, low sleep quality, lack of physical movement, side effects of medications, or even undiagnosed chronic conditions. So when someone says it's just old age, what they might really be describing is an addressable health issue. Many older adults seem to accept this fatigue. They say, "This is just how I am now." But deep down, they miss the way they used to move. The joy of a morning walk, the peace of sitting in the sun. And here's the hopeful truth. Those feelings aren't gone. They're just buried. With the right support and a few small lifestyle changes, they can come back to life. Start small. Wake up at the same time each day. Open a window, take in some fresh air. A bit of gentle movement in the morning. Stretching, walking in place can jumpstart the metabolism. Inactivity puts the body in sleep mode, but movement boosts circulation, activates muscles, and clears the mind. And this renewal isn't just physical, it lifts the spirit too. Another key aspect of energy is mental energy. Even if physical movement is limited, keeping the mind active keeps the whole person vibrant. Solving puzzles, reading books, setting small daily goals, or even simply planning your day, these give your brain direction. And a brain with direction encourages the body to move. What about you? When was the last time you truly felt energized? Have you had a reason to wake up excited? Or are you simply waiting for the hours to pass? Answering these questions honestly is the first step to understanding your energy levels. Energy isn't just a trait of youth. It's a product of inner balance, and it can be rebuilt at any age. Spending time with others, having meaningful conversations, connecting with nature, listening to music, dancing gently in your kitchen. These may seem small, but together, they can help you feel the pulse of life once more. If lately you've been feeling this tiredness more often, know that you're not alone. And if you feel comfortable, leave a small note in the comments. Maybe someone else reading this is walking the same path, and your words might be the light that leads them back into motion. Because sometimes all it takes is someone saying, "I feel that way too," to spark the will to move again. Final words. Remember, life still flows with you. Now we've explored these 8 important signs together. Perhaps you saw yourself in some of them, or maybe you came face to face with things you hadn't noticed before. But no matter what, there's one thing you must remember. It's not too late for anything. Life reshapes itself with every breath we take. Sometimes a small awareness can change years of habit. Maybe a sentence you heard in this video will move you to action. Maybe just one detail will spark something inside you. And that spark is the strongest sign of your bond with life. Aging doesn't mean giving up. On the contrary, aging means getting to know yourself better, understanding what truly matters, and appreciating not what's behind you, but what still lies ahead. Ask yourself this: are there still things you want to learn, share, or feel in this life? If the answer is yes, then there is still a path to walk, words to speak, and steps to take. If this video resonated with you, I would love to hear which part impacted you the most, especially if it was point 3. Please share it, because something you write might give hope to someone else. And remember, we are in this together. This channel exists to remind you that you're not alone. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. That way, we can support you with more content on this journey. And meet again in upcoming videos. Take care of yourself, and no matter what, never stop feeling life, loving it, and walking forward. See you again very soon.